What's up, party people, and welcome back to my channel. We are finally doing my overnight slash a few hours of your day heatless rod robe curler tutorial. I'm so excited! So yeah, a few months back I'd shown you guys some pictures of my hair after I've done this, and I had so many requests for a tutorial, and I did one, okay? I filmed it, I started editing it, and I hated it. I just kind of chalked it up as a loss. Like, it was just a missed opportunity. You know, too much time has passed. You guys aren't interested in seeing this anymore. Too many people have already done it. And then I posted a video yesterday, my Best in Beauty 2022 video. Right there if you want to check that out, which I highly recommend watching. And I asked you guys in that video if you still want to see a tutorial, and so many of you have said that you still want one, so we're doing it. Number one, if you're trying to avoid heat on your hair, maybe you're trying to grow your hair out, maybe your hair is extremely damaged, maybe you're coming back from a bleach session and it's fried. This will allow you to have a style without the burn. Maybe you're trying to save time in the morning, like maybe you don't want to wake up 30 minutes earlier than you have to do your hair. This is a total time saver. And this will seriously give you the cutest curls ever. So I'm gonna show you guys everything from start to finish, okay? From wetting my hair to the products I use, the technique, obviously, styling it out, like everything you need to know to make it last all day long, and sometimes even until the next day. I'm gonna show you the products I use, but it's not really about these particular products, it's just about the product type that it is. Use whatever you have. So a few things I wanna mention slash tips, very important, listen up. You can do this overnight, okay? I feel like the majority of people that you hear talk about using it overnight, so they sleep in it, which you can absolutely do, but it is tragic. And I don't really hear any influencers talking about that. Like, they just act like, oh, I'm perfect, I can do whatever, it works for me. Every single time I've tried to sleep in this overnight, with the exception of maybe one time, I have had the worst sleep ever, slash I've not gotten almost any sleep. It's very, very dense. So lay it against your head and against a pillow. Oh boy, it's rough. Doing it overnight will make it last longer, I will say that. The longer that you can leave this in, the longer it's gonna last. My preferred method of doing this is doing it the day of when I need my hair to be styled and letting it sit for at least 3 to 4 hours. If you can wait longer, do it, but 3 hours is kind of minimum for me. Any less than 3 hours, my curls just fall out. You could even put this on dry hair in the morning. Like, say you have 2 hours to get ready. I know that's a lot for some people. So if you're someone that, you know, you give yourself 30 minutes, then no, this probably won't work. You could do it the night before and then put some hairspray in it. That might be the best bet for you so that you don't have to sleep on it. Or you can put this in the morning of and use a blow dryer. Like, don't wet your hair, just put it in dry hair. Use a blow dryer and really make sure that everything gets nice and hot. Let it cool, spray it while it's actually up in the rod, and then take it down and style it out as usual. And I would think that would give you a pretty similar result. But obviously the best way to do it is on damp hair. But yeah, is that all I want to say? I think it is. So here's what my hair looks like. It is completely dry. Like I said, I washed it last night. No styling products whatsoever were used. No mousses, no leave-in creams, no detangling sprays, nothing. Like, this is how it looks, air dried and slept on. So beautiful. So you want your hair to be about 80% dry, okay? So you want it to be just slightly damp, like just enough to where it's gonna be able to mold. You don't want it to be drenching, okay? Don't do this right after you get out of the shower, right after you wash your hair. So on days like this, when my hair has been washed prior, just use a little spray bottle. This is from Amazon, just use whatever. But quick tip, I would use purified water. So if you've got a filter in your fridge, you can use your fridge water. If you've got a purifier on your shower head or whatever, use that. It's not a big deal. Like, this doesn't really affect the style or anything. If you can avoid using hard water on your hair, then do it. That sounds so privileged. Use purified water. Don't use tap water. I'm also gonna make sure I get my roots because I wanna put some mousse up there. And also I wanna make sure I kind of remold the body because I have none. Brushing that through. So here's how wet slash dry my hair is. So yeah, about 80% dry, I would say. Step 2 is using a mousse for some volume and body. You don't have to do this. There's a lot of times that I don't. It's just one of those things where if you really want to elevate the look and make it look like you spent a lot more time than what you did, then the mousse kind of helps. And also because, you know, you're not able to curl close to your scalp, especially towards the back of your hair. You know, back here kind of gets left out a little bit, so it can kind of be flat or limp if you don't do a lot to it. So you're gonna get the most curl towards your face. So today I'm gonna use the Amika Plus Size Perfect Body Mousse. And something I just learned, okay, I just figured this out myself, is that whenever you're using mousse, don't massage your hands together, okay? Don't liquefy it. Go in when it's moussey And that's when it works best. How come no one ever told us that? I've been using mousse wrong all these years. I went to freaking beauty school and they didn't teach us. Like, what the heck? So I recommend going into some kind of leave-in cream that kind of enhances the shine and the moisture. This is the Amika Supernova Moisture and Shine Cream. No, I'm not sponsored by Amika. This is just what I've been using lately. I mean, I would take a sponsorship from Amika. Like, I'm not opposed to that at all. Yeah, just use any kind of leave-in cream. Yeah, I'm just kind of taking it in sections to make sure it's evenly distributed and just kind of running it through and then scrunching it like that down the hair. And I forgot to mention something I'll do whenever I first get out of the shower and brush my hair out is use a leave-in detangling spray. I just ran out of my Eva NYC 10-in-1, what's it called, Main Magic Primer or whatever. I highly recommend that one, but I ran out, so I'm using this one. But just use any kind of leave-in when you first get out of the shower. So I'm gonna take my brush once again. And by the way, this is a wet brush. Like, what is this called? It's like a boar bristle brush or something like that. I'll have it linked below. All the products I'm using will be linked below. So go ahead and find your part. When I first started doing this, I would go in the middle and then just say, well, I'll just flip it over. Like, I'll do my part after I style it out and take it down and stuff. Like, if you do it in the middle and everything's away from your face right here, and then you flip it over, then this like piece over here is gonna be curled towards your face. And it's just gonna stick out like a sore thumb and not face frame very well. It's just not gonna be very like enhancing. So I'd recommend starting with the part that you want it to end up on. So you also want to have a little rat tail comb or something like that to the side where you can kind of brush through as you go. So split your hair down the middle, nothing fancy. I'm not going to take a comb or anything and do it. Now we're going to put the rod in. So I like to put it maybe like 2 or 3 inches back from my hairline. So it's pretty much like right above my ear. What I like to do is kind of dig it out a little bit to where the rod sits in there. And the way my rod works is that it's just got like a little flat piece of fabric on top. I've seen a lot of them where the rod's on top as well, but I actually like this. I don't know if I like the other style of rod better, but yeah, I'm just gonna put it about 2 inches back. I'm gonna take a clip, a little alligator clip, and I'm gonna clip the top of my hair on this side that I'm not working on. Right there, that's gonna keep it in place. And then go into the back, I'm gonna do the exact same thing and clip off this section like that, so it gives me a nice area to work with. So something to keep in mind whenever you're sectioning. You can go as thin or as thick of a section as you want. It just kind of depends on what your end goal is. Obviously, if the sections are thicker, it's gonna give more of a loose curl. And if it's tighter, it's gonna give more of a defined curl. If you're someone like me that has a hard time holding a curl, then if you go too loose with your sections and too thick, you don't really have that security blanket to fall back on. Like, it's gonna loosen up throughout the day, basically. Whenever you do a tighter curl, which means a thinner section in this case, as the day progresses and it starts to, you know, kind of loosen up, it's not gonna loosen up into straightness. You know, it's not gonna fall flat completely. Whereas if you did a looser, thicker section, it might. Whenever you first start doing this, you're gonna be like, oh my God, it's so handsy. Like, how many fingers do I need? The more you do it, the more comfortable you'll get with it. And you'll just, like, the hair will just kind of fall in your hands and you'll figure it out. Like, I can do this now without a mirror. Basically, you're gonna have a front section up here, and you're gonna have a back section and the rod in the middle, and keep them separate, okay? Do not combine the front, okay, the piece over the rod and the piece behind the rod together. I'm gonna take my comb and brush out each section. So you wanna do this starting out, like you wanna make sure that each top section is brushed out. So the pattern is always gonna be over the rod and bring it back to where it lives, and then you're gonna add a piece of hair in with that piece that you just brought back over. Go to the back, I'm gonna form a section back here. I'm gonna take my finger from my part and make kind of a diagonal section like this towards the rod. And then I'm gonna take my comb and brush it out. Again, it's very handsy at first. You'll get the hang of it. I've got my back section back here and my front piece is still in the front. I'm gonna take this piece and go over the rod as well. And I'm gonna keep it as tight as I can. Bring it back over. So now I'm going back to the front section. I'm gonna add a piece in with this section that I just brought back. So got the same thickness, and once again, over the rod, bring it back under, back to where it lives, going back to the back section, adding a piece of hair to that back, kind of combing it through with my fingers as I go, over the rod. So as you can see, it's getting kind of like messy right here. So I'm gonna take my comb in just a second and brush that out. And then just keep doing that all the way down until you don't have any more hair. All of my fingers are employed right now. They are all at work. Going back to the back, taking another diagonal section. I'm just taking my finger and just going downward to make a diagonal and forming it with that old section, okay? Kind of smoothing it through, over the rod, under, back to where it lives. And as you go, you're gonna find that the rod, like you're just naturally gonna start loosening up a little bit. Pull it tight, okay? Pull your hair tight, pull the rod tight. You wanna keep it as close to your scalp as possible because you want the curl to be as close to your scalp as you can. All right, going back to the front, I have a little tiny section up here we're gonna add to it. And like I said, you're just gonna do this until there's no hair down here, and then you're just gonna wrap normally. So I have a little bit left still, going back to that back section, and this is the last piece I have to add on. And once again, when I get down here, it's gonna start loosening, kind of like a braid. So you wanna make sure that you pull it tight, and I'm trying to keep it behind my ear. Okay, so now I'm to the point where, okay, I've got my back section, the front section, I have no more hair left. I'm just gonna wrap like normal. I'm not gonna be adding anything because there's nothing else to add. So the exact same process until I get to the end. So just crisscrossing. I'm gonna take a satin scrunchie or a silk scrunchie. I'm not sure what the material is, but just do not use a rubber band or anything that's too tight because that's gonna cause breakage. That's gonna be sitting on your hair tight for a while. Do not do that. So I'm just gonna wrap it twice. And then when I get to the bottom, I'm gonna pull the bottom down a little bit and pull the top up to where it's kind of separated, like it's kind of holding the hair up here and also the hair at the very, very bottom. If you take a look at this, you can figure out the curl pattern. So it's gonna be alternating, okay? So you're gonna have the front pieces away from your face because they're going over the rod this way, and the back section is gonna be curling towards your face. So they're going over the rod in that way and coming back. But going on to this side now, you can see it's nice and messy. So I'm gonna take my brush and brush everything out and then find that little grave where I want it to be. So again, about right there. So sometimes this happens, you're gonna get lopsided. So the flat fabric has come down too much on this side. So as you can see, if I were to take this piece right here and wrap it over, the first place it's gonna land on is that fabric. If you start wrapping on that flat fabric, it's gonna make it a very ugly, kinky, weird, flat curl. So what I like to do when this happens, because it happens a lot, I'm gonna find my little grave and I'm just gonna like push it up. Okay, I'm gonna kind of put the extra fabric on this side and I'm gonna go right in my part right there, just to make sure that the rod itself is where I need it to be for when I start wrapping. So because I'm someone that learns from reiteration and redundancy, I'm gonna talk you through it all over again. So here's my section, okay? That's how thick of a section we are taking. So I would say it's like, what is that? Maybe 1.5 inches or so. Taking that front section, going over the rod, bringing it back to where it lives. Going back to my part, making a diagonal section forward, over the rod, back under to where it lives. Okay, so this is what we got a back section, we got a front section, rod's in the middle. And the ends don't have to be, you know, completely flat to the rod. I usually try to get them as flat as I can. And see, I've got a little bit hanging out right there. Kind of wrap it up a little bit better. All right, take that top of the scrunchie, pull it up to where it covers up a little bit more up there, keeps it in place. So next, I'm gonna go into a curl reviving mist. You can do this, you can do a leave-in detangling spray, something like that, just to kind of re-wet it and to help it form onto the rod. So I'm gonna take this Eva NYC Bounce Back Curl Reviving Mist. The point of this is to reactivate curls, moisturize, and tame frizz. So yeah, I need all those things right now. And this is like a super toxic smelling spray, I will say that. Chokes me up every single time. So another trick to make sure that you get some volume and lift is to go into the rat tail side of a comb like this, kind of lift up the hair, not down here, just right at the scalp, especially back here. See where it's like flat? Just lift that up. I'm just gonna go down the back of my head a little bit on both sides. Let's see, what time is it? Oh, later than I want it to be. Yeah, it's now 1 o'clock, so I have to be done by 3, which means that this will only have 2 hours to sit on my hair, which is not ideal, but what I'll probably have to do is go into a blow dryer towards the end, heat it up, and then let it sit and cool a little bit before I take it down. What I like to do is actually tie it into a little knot back here. Kind of pull it through, and this actually holds up really well. I feel like this is a lot more comfortable than letting it hang down my sides. Yeah, we'll see you guys later. All right, guys, time to style it out. As I said, I did not have the time that I normally have to let it sit, so I had to blow dry it, but it's okay. We gotta make it work. It'll still look good. So let's pull it to the front, take out the scrunchies, and I'm just gonna start from the bottom and work my way up. I'm just gonna very gently pull it out. I've seen some people like shake it out. Nah. So it probably will be a little bit looser than it normally is because it hasn't sat as long, and there are some pieces as I'm pulling them out that are a tad bit damp. It's okay, we're gonna make it work. Yeah, here's what the curl looks like. And as you can see, it's just so defined and like it's very S-shaped. It looks like I took a wand or a curling iron and did this. Like it's just so perfect. I'm going to a hair oil. This is the one that I talked about in my Best in Beauty 2022. It's the Lips Hair Vitamin with heat protection. Oh, it's got heat protection. I didn't know that. See, I'm just gonna start raking it through and then scrunching it to kind of redefine it. But this will add a ton of shine and a ton of like moisture back to the hair. And with whatever's left over, I'm just gonna comb through the top a little bit because, you know, you saw there's some pieces sticking up right back there, so that's okay. I'm not putting any extra product in my hair, by the way. I don't want to weigh my hair down and make my scalp oily. So now it's time to go back in and add some volume and body towards the roots. So what I'm gonna do is go into my teasing comb. This is the one from Sally's. This is from a brand called Tool Structure, I think is what it's called. The labeling's off. It's like $2 or $3 at Sally's, so this is a damn good teasing comb. And then I'm gonna go into my Kenra Dry Volume Burst as well. I'm just gonna go through and lift up my hair and tease it. I have an entire teasing video, by the way. I'll put it up here if you want to check it out. But whenever you're teasing, you want to try to over direct it to get the most volume. So that means pulling it away from where it lives as far as it'll go, all the way down to my nape. So just like that. Going to the top sections, kind of molding it together with the back. Now that I've got my tease pretty much how I want it to be, I'm gonna go into my Kenra Volume Burst and just, you can also do this as you're teasing too. That's probably a little bit easier. I'm just gonna kind of set that tease in place. I'm just gonna lift it up. Yeah, actually a lot of times whenever I'm teasing, I do spray this first and tease. So it just kind of depends on the day and whatever my hands decide to do. If you don't have a good foundation for the hair to sit on, then your volume everywhere is gonna fall. So always try to tease under here as well. So I'm just gonna take my comb and do that a little bit. So because I'm feeling a little flat up here where it hasn't had time to dry, I'm gonna take my part a little bit deeper. And it may be, you know, slightly, you know, towards my face, but, you know, as I put my hair behind my ear and, you know, as it kind of falls, like it'll kind of sit into itself. I'm going to some more oil because sometimes whenever you tease, it can make your hair look a little more tousled and whatnot. So I'm just gonna go in and comb through and then re-scrunch. Then I'm gonna go into a hairspray. My favorite is the Joico Joy Mist Firm number 9 and number 6. Both of them are amazing. I'm just gonna kind of toss on my hair to make sure my volume and my tease is still intact. And do it. And then scrunch as I go. I'll come back here and kind of like claw my roots a little bit, spray it like that. And once it dries, you can go into like a wide tooth comb like this and brush it through a little bit just to kind of get rid of the crunch because it can be kind of crunchy, especially if it's wet. But another thing I forgot to mention that this is really good for is, like, I don't know if you guys are like me, but I hate to curl my hair and then end up putting it up in a ponytail or a messy bun or a clip up or whatever it may be. I just feel like it's a total waste of time, number one. But also, like, I'm just putting breakage and damage on my hair just to put it up and for it to not really be seen. So if you kind of have an updo style in mind, you can do this and then you don't have to waste damage on your hair for no reason. So yeah, now the hairspray's had time to dry, so you can go into your wide tooth comb and kind of knock through the ends a little bit, just kind of get rid of that crunch and make it look a little bit softer. Here's a little tip that I learned recently from a girl on TikTok, and it really has made a difference. It's basically teasing right under the wave of your curls. Like right here, you can see it kind of dips in. So take your teasing comb or your wide tooth comb, whatever, and just kind of push it up and lock it. And then going down here to the next wave, like the dip in the wave, pushing it up, and just doing that all throughout the head. And it really makes your hair look more full. And then especially underneath, because like I said, you need a good foundation for the entire hair to be full. Going underneath here and just lifting right where you see that like dip. Why did I wear a dark shirt today? That made no sense. There is my heatless curl technique, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll have all the products I used today, including the rod that I have in the description box below. And yeah, if you guys decide to try this, and please come back to the comment section and let me know how it works out for you. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, if you like hair videos like this from me, then make sure you give this a big old thumbs up. Here's a couple more things for you to check out next to just venture around the channel, make yourself at home. Subscribe if you haven't already, and turn the notification bell on to always see my stuff. And I will see you guys in the next one. Mwah.